Anyone who's familiar with Buckminster Fuller knows that he was always keen on this phrase, which I find apt now, that we all come into the world under similar conditions, naked, ignorant, and completely helpless. And so, that's how we come, that's not how we go. Unless you don't make it to old bones. I just wrote several psychics in LA, and it's just upsetting that I gotta be the psychic daddy of the world, the high priest of the world. Not because magic is wicked, but because magic can be wicked. Right? And if there is a single adept in the world, right, devoted to malignancies of thought, then every adept in the world is under attack. That's the point. Right? It's called a myriad of things. Right? I mystify and beguile you under a myriad of ruses. Right? But my point is that we have to talk about it. We have to, right? I have to see these women. I have to, not because they're fine, it's like we all have to kind of get our heads out of our asses in this way, like, oh, hot Hollywood goddesses, so fucking what? Right? Are they not like children of God? Are they not, right? Do they not need protection from evil? Is it not possible that there is deeply sadistic evil people, right, at the highest levels of Hollywood? Right? Is it not actually quite reasonable to assume that my life is always in danger if he's unwilling to be cool about this? Right? That this is like corporate espionage of the highest level. Of the highest level. Right? And so, it's scary, it's dangerous, Because there's no resolution unless there is a resolution. Right? And the point is that, right, that Courtney Braun and WME and all these people, they've all known for so long, right, for all this time, that Quentin is holding them from coming to me and me alone in a quasi-criminal, sadistic, evil fashion. That's yes, that's the point. Right? It doesn't matter that they have millions of dollars, right? That's a shallow answer intellectually. Right? If my claims are true, right, then it also tracks why, right, they can appear normal in the world, why they will sign waivers. Because no one understands, because they are in such a perpetual state of terror that they will do whatever they have to do to mitigate his evil upon them, right? And if he treats everyone in the industry the same way, right, then they're all in fear for their safety as well. That's the point, right? And so he's overextended himself to such an attenuated degree that I do find it hard to believe that literally everyone around him isn't looking at him saying, right, shouldn't you just let the women go? Isn't it? Right, it's probably cooler if you just be cool. Right, and I'm sorry I disrespected him as a psychic. Really I am. I'm sorry that I respect no psychics, that I always resented him watching me. I always resented feeling like I can't jerk off, and, all these things, goddamn, Not because I want to jerk off, but because I have the right to have my mind. I have the right to my thoughts, right? And so in relation to that scene that I sent Quentin, right, is it not a palpable totem of psychic resonance, right, that those women saw that scene and said, he's talking to you. He's not talking to those actors. Right, he doesn't realize, but he's talking to you right now. That kind of makes a lot of fucking sense, doesn't it? Right? That I went off because he was manipulating me, and I was disgusted by how he made me feel. That actually makes perfect fucking sense, doesn't it? And so, right? These psychics, they can all stand up and say, oh, like tarot, divination, right? But if they turn a blind eye to this, then they're hacks and they're charlatans, nothing but, right? And so, right? Is the whole industry just prepared to say, well, there's Quentin with his harem that he holds against their will, right? My point is that everyone's artistic expressions all define who they are psychologically. No one would ever argue to the contrary. And so Quentin's first films were him, right, trying to fall in love, right? All those middle films, right, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Django, that they're all like kind of love stories. If, perverse and weird and like, in the way that he is. Right? But it is my contention that after Django, right, he realized that he has a genetic deficiency in some way and cannot produce children biologically. Right? And so his last two films have been reckoning with that. The Hateful Eight, it's all dudes being violent. Right? Because, right, he can't have healthy relationships with men as a result of seeing, right, their ability to procreate and his inability to procreate. And once upon a time in Hollywood, right, he cast all the women, right, to circumvent the equality bullshit or the equity, right, like rules of the Academy, right, and at the same time manipulated all of them into being his sadistic sluts, right, because he cannot possess them physically. He cannot give them a baby biologically. And at the same time, the film is also about male friendship, isn't it? It's about two friends, right? Because he needs a friend. And so what I'm saying is, I'm the only man that actually is his friend, right? And sometimes your friends kind of fucking piss you off a lot, don't they? Anger is the purest form of care, right? That I was angry. I was so angry at him over turning his back on me in that moment that I wanted him to know how it felt. I wanted him to know how I felt, how those women felt in January when he was an arrogant ass and stopped accepting my mail. And so it does feel pretty obvious that those women were like, this is not the end of this. This is like he wrote you 60 pages, right? And so you fuck with his mind and you like get this scene out of him and you think that, right? And so we're still here now, right? And he has compelled them to be raped in the first degree on his film set, right? Because he was trying to reconcile the truth, right? That he can only possess women's minds. He can't possess their bodies, right? So he set up these sadistic bondage rape scenes, right? To project them in every movie house in the world as a sadistic black magic spell, so that whenever people do conceive, because they get turned on by these, that he feels that he is the spiritual father of these children, right? And so the women were all fine with that. They said, okay, like whatever, like career, right? But they said him, he's the one, he's the only one, right? And so he refuses to reconcile with me because I don't respect psychics, right? There is no psychic stronger than me. Someone prove me wrong, right? But we're both broken, that's the point. Right? Like that's like we both, right? My point is that, right, he needs to come down. He needs to come down off of his mind cloud, right? He needs to stop holding these women in this sadistic quasi-criminal fashion, right? Does it not make perfect sense if those women said, no, we want to speak to him now. We're not playing your game anymore. He doesn't like playing them. You don't want him to play the role. We want to go see him. That he would not, like seeing that he lost their minds, right? Seeing that, right, that he'll never possess their minds anymore. That he wouldn't use his mind to exert some sort of legal control over them until he had no choice but to relinquish them legally. Isn't that, right? Kind of makes a lot of fucking sense, doesn't it? So, right, they're out in the world, right? You see them, glamorous Gucci, right? But in their heart, right, in their minds, they're miserable, they're imprisoned. We have to see it, right? God bless.